Today our lesson is reproduction in humans. So what do you mean by reproduction? Definition is ability to produce offspring. What do you mean by offspring? It is the production of organisms of same species. So in this reproduction session, we are going to talk about 6 sessions. They are sexual versus asexual production and sexual production, reproduction in humans, pregnancy and childbirth, puberty and menstrual cycle. So our first topic is sexual versus asexual production. So there are 2 types of reproduction. They are sexual and asexual reproduction. There are specialized sex cells. They are called gametes. They are sperms and ovum. Sperm is a mobile cell and it is the male gamete. Ovum is the female gamete and it is stationary. So as sperm is mobile, sperm must move to ovum and fuse. It is called fertilization. So the product of fertilization, the product of single cell formed by the fertilization is called zygote. So the zygote divide by mitosis to form all cells of the new organisms. Okay, that's the basic idea of sexual reproduction. When we talk about asexual production, it is quite different from the sexual reproduction. They don't have specialized sex cells. They don't have gametes, and there is no fertilization ongoing. In that, the cells of one body part is divided in mitosis to form the cells of the daughter or son organisms. The parent organisms divide and form the new organisms. So the offspring is genetically identical. Why is that it is genetically identical? Because the same parent cell is divided to form the daughtering organisms. That is why. We have to talk more about the sexual reproduction because we can see it in humans, mammals, and asexual reproduction is quite useful to some species. When the environmental is stable, they do asexual reproduction. So now we're going to talk about sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, as I told you previously, there are 4 stages. So they produce gametes. As we talked about earlier, they are sperms and ovums. And we have to transfer the sperm to ovum. Sperm is mobile, so they transfer to the ovum. When they transfer and fuse with each other, the fertilization happens. It's the 3rd step. Then zygote forms into a new individual, and from mitosis, the new organisms are formed. That are the 4 basic spheres. So where do they produce gametes? Where do they produce that specialized sex cells? They are produced in the sex organs. So female have ovaries and males have testes. So the cells divide, production of gametes, they are divided by meiosis. So they are not genetically identical. And they have only half number of chromosomes as the original cells. As we know, human cell has a 46 number of chromosomes. So the gametes only have half of. So gametes have only 23 per each gamete cell. So we'll watch the videos later and first discuss the topic, okay? As I told you previously, sperm is the male gamete and it is produced in testes. So we have to know the basic structure of a sperm. So, sperm has main three parts. They are head, middle piece, and tail. In tail is like a flagellum. So it helps to swim through the fluid. As example, tail helps to swim in humans in the seminal fluids. Wait, one is joining. So this flagellum helps to move and it will help to fuse with the ovum. So as we talked about earlier, fertilization is fusing with ovum and sperm. But it can happen in two places. It can happen inside the body or outside the body. So fertilization is have two parts. So they are external fertilization and internal fertilization. External fertilization means the fertilization happen outside the body. So the sperm have to swim through water to fertilize the egg. So that animals have some mating behavior. Why do we have to have a mating behavior for external fertilization? Because we have to ensure male and female are in same place at same time. So there is a high chance of fertilization as they are in the same place. And we have to fertilize the eggs before they are swept through the water. They are before swept through the water. Because their fertilization happen in water, it can get away. So other part is internal fertilization. The fertilization happen inside the female's body. So male ejaculate his sperms in a special fluid into the bodies of females. As example, humans have internal fertilization. As example, female ejaculate his seminal fluids into the internal body of the female. So the sperm is in the seminal fluids. Then fertilization happens in the inside of the female body. So this is how fertilization happens. Sperm swims through the seminal fluids to the egg. Then the sperm has to penetrate the outer membrane of the ovum. Then it has to fuse with, and both of sperm nuclei and egg nuclei have to be joined. So they have 23 of chromosome with each, and zygote has 46 as both of them have combined with each other. Zygote nucleus has a 46 chromosomes. We'll watch the videos later. So we have to specially talk about the reproduction in humans. Okay. So to talk about the human reproduction, first we have to know the major parts of female reproduction system. Okay. The main important part is ovary. Ovary produce ovum, and ovum produce here, and they are released to the fallopian tube. Through the fallopian tube, ovums goes to the uterus, and in the uterus, the implantation happens. Implantation means the fertilized zygote is kept in the uterus. So uterus have inner layer, it is endometrium. The middle layer, which is composed of muscle, it is called myometrium. And the opening of the female reproductive tract to the outside is called vagina, and the next passage through it's called is cervix. So when the sperms come through vagina, cervix, and through the uterus, they usually come to the fallopian tube. So the released ovum comes through fallopian tube, and usually fertilization happens at the fallopian tubes. Okay. If you don't understand anything, tell me. Okay. Then we're going to talk about the major parts of the male reproductive systems. They are bladder, prostate gland, penis, testis, epididymis, and seminal vesicles. Seminal vesicles helps to build the seminal fluids. As I talked to you previously, seminal fluid contains the sperm. It is the watery media to the sperms to swim. Okay. Uh, as I talked you in the previous slide, ovary release ovum to the fallopian tubes, and it is that process is called ovulation. In each month, ovaries release an egg into the fallopian tubes. It can be fertilized by a sperm, and if it is fertilized by a sperm, zygote develop, and zygote develop into an embryo. Okay. When the zygote develop to the embryo will implant in the lining of uterus. As I talk you and show you in the previous slides, embryo will implant in the endometrium, the inner layer of the uterus. So when embryo is implanted, it will develop a placenta. Placenta has multiple functions. It helps to anchor the embryo in the uterus. And embryo needs nutrition, though, so the placenta will help to get oxygen and nutrition from mother's blood. And the embryo will have excreted products like urea and carbon dioxide. So it will help to excrete those byproducts. And also placenta secretes female hormones like progesterone. Progesterone is the one helping to is the hormone that helps to maintain the pregnancy. Okay. So we're going to talk about pregnancy and childbirth. I'm too fast. Send me a message, okay? You all understood the things I talked about yet? Kirundi, got any questions? Kirundi, do you have any questions or understood clearly? I don't have questions. Okay. So our next topic is pregnancy and childbirth. In pregnancy, as we talked about earlier, the embryo develops, and that embryo is enclosed through an amnion. So amnion secretes amniotic fluid, and it helps the protecting developing embryo against sudden movements and bumps. It is like a watery fluid, so it will help the embryo in sudden movements and prevent the harm to the embryo. When the embryo develops recognizably human, we call it as fetus. Because in embryo form, it is hardly look like a human form. When it is developed in human form about 9 weeks, we call it fetus. And at the end of 9 months, fetus will send hormone signals to mother to begin the birth process. 9 months, as roughly we usually take, it is 40 weeks. Okay. So birth of a child. As we talked about earlier, child sends signal to the mother to for the starting of the delivery. Fetus secretes hormone and signals mother to start the delivery. And the delivery of a child has 3 main steps. First one is dilatation of the cervix. Second one is delivery of the baby. Third one is delivery of the afterbirth. So first one is dilatation of the cervix. As I showed you previously, cervix is the neck of the uterus. This area is called cervix. So This area has a narrow diameter. So when we want to deliver the baby, it has to dilate. Okay. So first step of delivery is the dilatation of the cervix. So it gets wider to allow the baby to pass. And muscles of uterus contract and it allows the dilatation of the cervix. In rough terms, people say the waters have broken like that because amniotic fluid, when the dilatation of the cervix happens, and at that time, the amniotic fluid starts to leave. Okay. Then second one is the delivery of the baby. As fetus sends signals to mother hormones are secreted and the uterus contract. By the uterine contractions, baby is pushed towards the outside. It is called the delivery of the baby. Delivery of the baby mainly happen due to the strong uterine contractions. Okay. The third and the last step of birth of a child is the delivery of the afterbirth. When the baby has been born, uterus is continuously contracting because it has to push the placenta out. As we talked about earlier, placenta develops and we have to push out the placenta. And with the placenta also it comes the membranes which surrounds the baby. And this process is known as the afterbirth. Okay. Our next topic is puberty. What is puberty? Puberty is getting sexual maturity. When most animals are born, they do not have sexual maturity. We call them, they are sexually immature. As we take example, say young girl, they do not have sexual maturity. When they reach puberty, when they get sexual maturity, they are able to reproduce. These changes, like getting the sexual maturity, is controlled by hormones. They are called sexual hormones. It is mainly controlled by hormones FSH and LH. FSH means follicle stimulating hormones and LH luteinizing hormones. So these sexual hormones help to develop the secondary sexual characteristics of the both male and females. So they get sexual maturity by these hormones. So the in females, they get the hormone estrogen. FSH and LH stimulate the secretion of estrogen, and in female, estrogen mainly help for breast development, beginning of menstruation. And in males have testosterone, and it mainly helps to growth of penis, growth of facial and body hair, and for muscle development. Okay. So we have to compare the changes at puberty in both male and females. In boys, boys get the puberty later than girls. In girls, they usually get their puberty in around 13 to 14 years, and boys get around 15 to 16 years of age. And when girls get puberty, their menstrual cycle begins. And in boys, their sperm production start at the puberty. And in both, growth and development of sexual organs happens after the puberty. Okay, they have a dramatic change of development in sexual organs. And in girls, they have growth of arm and pubic hair. Boys also have growth of arm and pubic hair. In additionally, they are going to have chest and chest hair. Okay, and both of have increase in body mass. But in boys, they increase their muscle mass. In girls, they increase their fat amount, and they're going to get like round shape. And boys become more muscular when they reach their puberty. Okay. In girls, their voice deepen and they have like a soft voice. But in boys, they have their voice breaks and they gonna have a like more muscular voice and uh, more muscular type voice. Okay. In both, when the puberty happens, their sexual drive develops and their hormones are secretes and they are going to have a like emotional changes for sexuality. In girls, quite opposite, they have breast development. In boys, there is no breast development. Okay. The next main part is we are going to talk about the menstrual cycle. In menstrual cycle, it happens as monthly and it can vary from 4 weeks to 6 weeks. But for learning purpose, we take usually a menstrual cycle has a 28 days. So in menstrual cycle, first 1 to 7 days, talk, we usually take menstrual phase. And for follicular phase, 1 to 12 days. And when for learning purposes, we get a 28 days cycle. So the fertilization happens at the 40th day. Okay, you have to remember that because it was asked in your questions. Okay? And they have luteal and follicular phase. Um, this happens due to the changes of the hormones. When the ovulation happens, there is a peak of secretion of LH and FSH. In the menstrual cycle, the inner lining of the uterus, which is called endometrium, is shedded and endometrium is become more thinner. In proliferation and secretory phase, the endometrial lining is become more thick. It will help to develop for the implantation. But when the implantation won't happen, there is menstruation. So the developed endometrium is shedded. Uh, so that is our basic idea of reproduction.